Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is lecture number 3, course code 454. Previous lectures were about the theories of literary criticism, and the second lecture was about Plato. We gave an introduction of Plato and we discussed his philosophies and a few of the terms that he has used in his philosophies. Let me recap it for you. Plato was born in Athens in 428 BC. He was born to an aristocratic family, which was wealthy as well. So he had aristocratic inclinations and political inclinations as well. It was very easy for him to climb up the ladder of, political aspiration. But what happened was that there was a war between Athens and Sparta. It is known as Peloponnesian War. It was sort of a civil war between two states of Rome, and as a result of that war, two groups, 430, they came into power in Athens especially. We are concerned with Athens because Plato lived in Athens, so we are concerned with whatever type of government took place there. So because of these two groups, democracy came into being. Plato was not much happy with the two groups. He was politically disillusioned because of because these two groups, they were tyrannical and they had instability as well. They were causing instability in Athens, and he was further disillusioned when his mentor, his teacher Socrates, was sentenced to death in front of a jury of 500 Athenians. What really happened was that Plato was trying to, awake the citizens of Athens into examining their life, to think about what they're doing and what they're doing wrong. But these people, they were not really inclined to listen to Socrates. They accused him of trying to corrupt the youth of Athens. They accused him of inventing new deities, that is, new demigods. They accused him of, not recognizing the gods of the cities. What really was happening was Socrates was favored by certain political fellows, and those fellows, they were out of favor at that point of time. So when they were out of favor, they found it, the opponents, they found it easy to punish Socrates. So what they did was that they sentenced him to death, and he had to die by drinking a bowl of poison. So he did. After he died, Plato formed an academy in Athens, and he continued to teach students metaphysics, epistemology, nature of soul, and subjects like that. He taught philosophy, basically. He followed the footsteps of Socrates. Why did he find this need to do this? What really happened was that after the Peloponnesian War, there was democracy in Athens. And because of democracy, instead of warcraft, a new art arose. And the art was that of persuasiveness, of rhetorics. People thought that war was not helping them much. And as there was a democracy, there was a parliament, so people need to, talk to each other. They need to pass certain legislations of that. There were certain people have to make arguments in favor of it or against it and stuff like that. So they had to learn the art of oration, the art of talking, basically, art of making speech, and art of making people fall into their wishes. So they came into being a group of teachers. These are known as sophists. And the sophists, their sole purpose was to teach students who were willing to pay them to teach, to get teaching in rhetorics. The sophists were not a very good influence on Athens. Why? Because they had very different ideas about morality. They did not believe in morality as such. They did not believe in absolute truth. They did not believe in absolute knowledge. They did not believe that there is something essentially right or something essentially bad. They did not believe in black and white. Some things are essentially black and some things are essentially white. They believed that everything is all right, everything is good unless and until it is serving the purpose of the person who's doing it. यानी कि अगर आपको चोरी करने से आपका मतलब हासिल हो जाता है, आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव हासिल हो जाता है, यानी कि आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था कि आपको फलां चीज़ चाहिए, आपको पैसे चाहिए फॉर दैट मैटर. अगर चोरी करने से आपको वो पैसे मिल जाते हैं तो चोरी अच्छी नहीं हुई या बुरी नहीं हुई, बस ये आपका काम उसने पूरा कर दिया. तो द थिंग, आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव जिससे हासिल हो जाए वो चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसका अच्छा या बुरा होना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. ठीक है. So this continued. Socrates had an objection it, and what did he say? He said that it is not good to live this life of unreflectiveness. He was shocked by the moral complacency of his fellow Athenians. He believed that they were living in an unreflective haze. He believed that they were focusing on gaining power and more money, and they were justifying whatever wrong they were doing with the help of the theories given by the sophists. So, what did he do? He acted like a dag-fly. He stung his fellow citizens. He stood in the marketplace and he used to question them. Like he was standing, let's say, on a platform, वहाँ पे खड़ा है, and he would start, people would stand there. Of course, अभी भी अगर आप market में जाए, एक बंदा ऊंची सी जगह पे खड़ा होके कहे लोगों मेरी बात सुनो, people would stop there and start listening to him. ठीक है ना? The same thing happened there. People, they were attracted to him. So what would he do? He would stand there. He would ask a question. Let's say he would ask someone, can you please define beauty? That person is going to try and define beauty. But then Plato is going to say, but this does not agree, this definition of beauty does not agree with what you already believe. So this process continued. Socrates believed that this was not a futile activity. This helped people to recognize or to identify what they already believe in, and this belief, this identification process helped them to be more virtuous and it helped them to be more happy. ठीक है? अब प्लेटो ने चूंकि इसको फॉलो किया, तो the initial period of his life, the initial philosophy of Plato's life, closely influenced by, deeply influenced by Socrates. ठीक है? He followed the same method. इसकी book Republic, जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं आजकल, उसमें उसने यही किया था कि he used to, there was a dialogue between Socrates and his interlocutor, that is his opponents. He would ask a question, they would raise answers, they would give answers to it, and then he would further question them, and the process goes on and on. It goes on until it reaches the point of aphasia, where it is a complete intellectual lockdown. आपने इतनी डेफिनेशंस पूछी, उस डेफिनेशन के आगे इतने सवाल पूछे, सवाल के जवाब में आपने फिर सवाल पूछा. It goes on and on. Finally, you reach a situation where you cannot go any further. It's a complete blackout. You do not know what to think. You only know कि जो आपको पता था आज तक, it was wrong, and you need to have something else. You need to believe in something else. So this is so far we have gotten. We have studied some of the terms that Plato has discussed in these theories. There was a thing known as physical realm, there's a thing known as intelligible realm, things that we can touch, and there are things that we cannot touch. The most important thing that we have studied so far is the theory of forms. And the theory of forms is the basis of Plato's theory of imitation. That is the basis of his criticism on art. Let us start the Republic by Plato. We're going to focus on book 10 only. Why? Because book 10 is the only portion of Republic where Plato is going to talk about art. He started mentioning it in the beginning somewhere, but he stopped it, and this is the concluding part of the Republic, and here he's going to comment on poetry and arts. The Republic is only about a state, an ideal state for ideal people, and Plato is trying to determine here, in the words of Socrates, because Socrates is the main character, he's the one who's teaching people and who's trying to satisfy his opponents. So here he's going to try and convince us, or try and lay down certain rules which are essential for a republic, for an ideal state. कि एक ideal state होगी तो उसमें क्या क्या qualities होनी चाहिए, उसमें justice होना चाहिए या उसमें justice नहीं होना चाहिए, उसमें poetry और art होनी चाहिए, dramatic arts होनी चाहिए, playwrights होने चाहिए कि नहीं होने चाहिए. ठीक है जी. So Plato has sort of a love-hate relationship with arts. He must love them because he talks about them a lot. He keeps on talking about art, he keeps on talking about literature. But, you know, he's supposed to be a great playwright himself, a great literary stylist himself. And some of his dialogues are great literary masterpieces. But he has very strong objections on art and literature as well. He believes that art and literature and poetry and painting, they're great character shapers, and therefore there should be a strict, severe censorship on whatever the poets or the writers are writing. He says that they should be thrown out of the republic state. and if they're not thrown out of the republic state, there should be a strict check on them. वो जो भी लिख रहे हैं उसको check होना चाहिए, उसको censor होना चाहिए, उसको censor किए बगैर students तक नहीं जाना चाहिए. There is a point in time when he says that it is an important thing to teach the children who will become the rulers of that country. It should become the part of the curriculum of the ruler of the country, and they should be taught arts and music and poetry and stuff like that. But at the same time, he also believes that this should be done with strict censorship. अच्छा, इसमें फिर नेक्स्ट जो इशू आता है ना कि उसको क्या तकलीफ क्या पहुंच रही है आर्ट और पोइट्री से. सो ही बिलीव्स दैट थिंग्स आर नॉट एज दे सीम. प्लेटो की थ्योरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स जो है ना, दिस इज द बेसिस ऑफ वट एवर ही हैज टू से अबाउट आर्ट एंड पोइट्री एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. ही बिलीव्स के this theory of art, theory of imitation that he gives, it has a very strong influence on Western culture. Because हम Western literature ही पढ़ रहे हैं, English literature पढ़ रहे हैं, so it has a very strong influence of Western literature. And the theory of art and the theory of aesthetics are greatly influenced by whatever Plato has to say, whatever Plato's philosophy is. Plato believes that everything that is existing in around us in the physical world is a mere imperfect decaying image of something that exists in a perfect, rational, eternal and unchangeable world that exists in another sphere, in another paradigm, right? For example, the flower, a sunset, a piece of music, a love affair, all these things of beauty are but an image of these things of the real form of the beauty. And the real form of the beauty, it exists in the eternal life. The things of beauty that exist in our presence in the physical world are nothing but a copy of that eternal form of beauty which exists in another life, in the immortal life for that matter. For example, essences, just like justice. Justice is something that justice that we hope to achieve in this corrupt world is not possible. We can only hope for an approximation of justice. The eternal form of justice cannot be achieved. The justice that we can achieve in this world is only going to be a copy of the justice of the eternal form of justice. For example, take a circle. A very carefully drawn circle would appear to be imperfect on close inspection. This you must have experienced it when you're trying to draw a circle. You keep on trying to make it extremely regular, extremely perfect, but it's never perfect because a circle is a mathematical ideal, right? And that circle that you're trying to draw is just a copy of that ideal, of that form. So Plato believes in forms or ideals. Everything beautiful exists is an image of the form of beauty that exists in the eternal form. So the form is important as far as Plato goes. ठीक है? अब ये theory जो है ना, why is it important? Because this theory is the basis of whatever Plato believes in. He believes in कि कोई चीज़ भी जो है वो इसलिए art specially इसलिए important नहीं है because it's an imitation of an imitation. Third place removed. ठीक है? Let's continue it with the help of these slides. अच्छा. Socrates is the main character of the Republic, and he says that some kinds of music and some kinds of dramas and some kinds of poetry, they should be banned from the Republic. Why, Ji? Why should they be banned? Because sometimes they send the wrong message. Sometimes the public is not ready to receive that particular message because their sensibilities are weak at the best. Sometimes it is not morally uplifting, and the children who are trying to learn something out of the experiences happening around them may not get the right message for him. He continued his attack and he says that poetry in itself is not as damaging as the visual arts are, like drama, etc. and painting for that matter. He starts by trying to, the way he goes is trying to find out a definition, a particular definition कि art क्या होगी, art क्या चीज़ है. उसके लिए वो क्या करता है कि he says कि can you define art? तो हम कहते हैं कि जी art तो एक ऐसी चीज़ है where something is created. ठीक है. So he says that we'll call the artist a creative artist then. It means that he's creating something. Now, you can guess where it's going because we are claiming that art is something that is to be created. कोई paint कर रहा है तो वो कुछ create ही कर रहा होता है ना. Like someone, even the fashion designers nowadays, they believe that they're creating something, they're being inspired and they're creating something. So this is what we believe, right? So, Socrates का पहला question आपके लिए ये है कि what do you think art is? Can you define it? And we say that we believe it is something that is created by an artist, right? So what is an artist? It means if he's creating something, he's a creative artist. What's the next step then? Let's take an example of something that is produced by an artist. For example, a bed, right? If a painter paints a bed, it means that he has created a bed. हम उसको ये देंगे ना, उसकी ये recognize हम करेंगे कि this is his creation, this painting is his creation. The painting is the painting of a bed. अच्छा, अब ये painting कहाँ से आई है? The painting is that the painter must have seen something that looked like a bed and he copied it on a canvas. ठीक है, अब उस bed को जिसको उसने देखा था, it must have been made by someone, a carpenter for that matter. Furniture जो बनाते हैं, craftsman था कोई, ठीक है. अब उस craftsman ने वो bed बनाया. How did he know? So he must have an inclination of something that exists in the eternal form or the ideal form. So there is a bed that exists in the eternal form or the ideal form. There is a bed that exists in this real world, in the physical realm, which is being copied by the carpenter. This bed that exists in the real world is a copy of the bed that existed in the eternal form or the exact form or the real for that matter. When the painter paints the bed that has been made by the craftsman, then he is making a copy of the copy which was the copy in the first place of thing that was existing in the eternal form. Do you get my point? I'm trying to say here is that the bed that you sit on, you lie down or repose on or rest on is not the real bed in itself. It is also a copy of the eternal form of the bed, as Plato phrases it, the real bed which exists in the eternal life. Ye bed, there is a bedness that exists there, and that bedness has been copied by the carpenter in the physical realm, and the physical realm ka bed has been copied by the painter when he paints the picture of that bed. So art is thrice removed. It is a copy of the copy. So what's wrong with this? I don't find anything wrong with it. Do you? Everyone since the time begins to the present time, आप अच्छा आर्टिस्ट किसको समझते हैं? उसने कितनी अच्छी तस्वीर बनाई उस लड़की की, बिल्कुल रियल लग रही थी. जितनी अच्छी इमिटेशन की उतना अच्छा आर्टिस्ट हम उसको समझ रहे हैं. ठीक है, जैसे किसी ने तस्वीर बनाई तो किसी चीज को देख के बनाएगा ना. आपने कोई तस्वीर देखी तो यू वांट इट टू बी अ पिक्चर ऑफ समथिंग. अनलेस एंड अनटिल इट इज अ पिक्चर ऑफ समथिंग, आपको वो अट्रैक्ट नहीं करती है इतना. बिकॉज एब्स्ट्रैक्ट पेंटिंग, व्हाई इज इट नॉट दैट अट्रैक्टिव टू मोस्ट ऑफ अस, लाइक यू वी नॉर्मल पीपल? ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर पीपल हु आर हाईली इंटेलेक्चुअल, हु फाइंड इट एक्सट्रीमली inspiring, but we don't. We find it, what the hell, what did he write, what did he made, what did he paint? So आम लोगों को चीज़ों की इमिटेशन ही खूबसूरत लग रही होती है. किसी ने बहुत अच्छा लैंडस्केप पेंट किया, आप कहेंगे हाँ इट्स एन इमिटेशन, एंड यू एक्चुअली enjoy that imitation. So what's wrong with it? Why would you say that this is an imitation and imitation is not allowed? We'll discuss it later on, because according to Plato there is a big harm in imitation. Problem कहाँ आती है? जब प्लेटो कहता है कि ठीक है, उस कारपेंटर ने बेड बनाया, आपने उस बेड की पेंटिंग बनाई और उस पेंटिंग को यू आर एडमायरिंग. नाउ व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? द प्रॉब्लम अराइजेस व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द पोएट्स एंड द ड्रामाटिस्ट्स. व्हाट डू? They also create images, right? I mean, if they are talking about Homer's Iliad, if you're talking about let's say Chaucer, if you're talking about Milton's Paradise Lost, images create हुए हैं ना. You're talking about Satan, you're talking about God, you're talking about the fall of Adam, you have a great panoramic view of hell in Milton's Paradise Lost. All these things are there. He has created images with his words. Plato का point ये है कि these people who create these images, who talk of these great philosophies and of these great walls, these dramatists, these visual artists, they do not know what they're talking about. They're just creating images of things that they have not even seen. They are not the people who are to talk about these things. They pretend, because they pretend to be such
great moral preachers, whereas they are not. अगर ये इतने अच्छे होते तो ये कोई फिलॉसफी देते, कोई बड़ा काम करते, ये किंग ना बन जाते किसी स्टेट के. इफ दे न्यू सो मच, इफ होमर नोज सो मच अबाउट वॉर्स, व्हाई इज ही नॉट अ जनरल? व्हाई इज ही अ मेयर पोएट एंड ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, you know, the great wars and the heaven and the hell and all these things? You get my point? So he believes that poets are not the one who should talk about morality. They should not talk about nature. They should not talk about truth. They are not the ones who should talk about these things. Why? Because they are mere imitators. They do not know about things. They do not know about the true nature of the things. They're mere copiers. उनको एक इमेज उन्होंने सोचा, उसके बारे में सुना और उसको रिप्रोड्यूस कर दिया. They do not know the real truth. Who does? The philosopher does. The person who tries to break free from the sensible objects in the atmosphere, from the physical realm, and is trying to get to the reality of the things. The person who tries to find out the form of the words. Last lecture we discussed the goodness, right? We discussed what was exactly goodness. The person who tries to find out the truth, the real truth. That was the goodness, and the goodness was known only by the philosophers who search very hard for the truth. And when they search for the truth and they reach the truth, that is the point when their education is complete. That is the point which is the epitome of their education, and finally they will become the philosopher kings. इसकी प्लेटो की एक बात ये है कि इसने बुक 7 ऑफ रिपब्लिक में एक एलेगरी दी है, ठीक है, एक एग्जाम्पल दी है एक केव की. Okay, if he says that there's a person, he's sitting in a cave, okay, and in that cave he's tied to a wall. There's a wall behind his back, and there's a 6-foot wall in front of him. Behind that 6-foot wall there is fire burning, and between the fire and the wall there are actors. They're walking with puppets on sticks, and all that prisoner who's been chained with his hands behind his back could see are the shadows of the puppets following on the wall. ठीक है, तो वो उनको सच्चाई समझेगा. This is what his world is all about. सारा केव है, उधर ही बंधा हुआ है पता नहीं कितने सालों से. जो उसको shadows नजर आ रहे हैं ना, this is what he finds is real. ठीक है. What happens कि suddenly he is cut loose. उसके किसी ने इसकी ये जो हाथ जिस चीज से बंधे हुए थे वो खुल गए, ठीक है. And he goes across the wall. वो दूसरी साइड पे चला गया wall के, and he'll see that there's certain things which he thought to be true, but they are merely puppets, and these puppets are on the stick and there is nothing true about them. Now he's going to be disillusioned, and what he's going to do, he's going to move forward. He's going to move forward and he's going to try a way out of it. There's complete darkness in the cave, and what will happen, that he'll try to find out what reality is. He'll go out. He'll go out of the cave, and suddenly he'll be sun blinded because of the sun that is shining outside the cave. He'll find out that the real things were the real things, but not the stick images or the puppet images that he has been seeing for so long. You get my point? उस बंदे ने जब अपने हाथ खुलवाए तो या खुल गए, तो उसके बाद उसने जाके दीवार की दूसरी साइड पे देखा, वहां पे तो puppets थे, actors थे, तो वो तो reality नहीं थी. He was disillusioned. He said that I should search for the truth. He went on and on. Darkness में वो फिरता रहा, और finally he got out. He was successful in getting out of the cave. So when he was successful in getting out of the cave, he found out that there was sun outside, and they were real form of things that he has been imagining for so long underground inside the cave. ठीक है? यानी this is like your soul, the soul or the person that you are. आपको जो नजर आ रहा है वो images हैं और आप उन पे believe कर रहे हैं. This is what Plato is saying, not me. So this is what Plato is saying, that you are believing in those images, they are not real. Your soul should search for reason. Your soul should search for truth. And when the soul would finally find the truth, he'll be blinded for some time. And after he's blinded and the blindness has been gone from his eyes, और जब उसकी आंखें रोशनी से accustomed हो जाएंगी, then he's going to find out that this is the reality, this is the real form. Do you get my point? Okay. इसी तरह जो philosopher होता है, he is the only one who knows the form and the goodness of life itself. Artists, they do not know the truth. Artists वो बंदा हैं जो बैठे हुए हैं और जो उस puppets के shadows को देख रहे हैं. They are the ones. They copy it and they teach us to ask, this is what it is all about. This is not the truth. Philosopher would be the man who reaches up outside the cave and finally sees the world as it is. So, we have already established that this would be art is an imitation, thrice removed from reality. Let me give you another example of a birdle. घोड़े की जीन है, ठीक है? There's a birdle maker. He makes a birdle, ठीक है? अब उसने जो birdle बनाई है, उसकी किसने painting बना दी है, ठीक है? अब जिसने painting बनाई, उसने तो वो birdle देखी हुई थी, ठीक है? उसने वो birdle देखी, उस birdle को देख के उसने painting बना दी. अब जिसने birdle बनाई, उसको किसी ने बताया कि जी मुझे घोड़े के ऊपर बैठने के लिए ये birdle चाहिए. तो this person who's telling the craftsman to make the birdle knows a little much more about the birdle, because he had this idea in his mind that in order to sit on a horse he needs this certain thing. It should be this comfortable, it should be this high, it should be this thick, it should be shaped like this. So he had this idea. The idea came from the eternal form of birdle, which we cannot see, but which we can only conceive. The person who told the craftsman about the birdle had an idea about the real form of the birdle. So he told this other person, okay, this is what I want for my horse, for riding my horse. So this craftsman, he made that birdle, and the painter then further painted the birdle. So the painting would be a copy of a copy. The copy would be of something that is the eternal form, that came from the eternal life. Birdle की कोई eternal copy जो कहीं पड़ी हुई थी eternal form में, that is the real life. What Plato is trying to say here is that this world and the things that exist in this world they belong to this physical world. They rot, they decay, they change. But there is an eternal world as well. And the things that exist in the eternal world, they're perfect, they're eternal, they're rational, and they're unchangeable. Your body and your emotions, they belong to this physical world. Your soul and the truthfulness and the real form of the things, it exists in the eternal world. So for a person to get to the eternal things, to know the eternal things, it is important that you control your soul, that you let your soul be guided by reason and by truth. You should control your soul so that it does not yield to the temptation of greed or dishonesty or sensuality, and that so that it would reach the eternal life that is being ordained for it, that has been ordered for it, that it deserves. He believes, Plato does, and Socrates as well, because this is his mouthpiece. He believes that art is illusionary. Everything that exists in the poetry or the art is illusionary. It is there to deceive you. It is not providing you with the complete truth. Okay? Only experience in reason, your logic, your reason can correct you. Only your logic and the truth that you know, the search of truth that you have, is going to tell you what to do about it. Otherwise, you'll be completely boggled by it. You're going to follow it. You can consider it the truth. जैसे होता है कि आप Hamlet देख रहे हैं, आपने Hamlet देखा, Hamlet का downfall हो रहा है. You're feeling so bad for this poor man. You have this catharsis with him. You cry with him. The people standing on the stage, they're crying, you're crying with them. People standing on the stage laughing, you're laughing with them. Plato believes that this is extremely illusionary. This is not the truth. This is not the way for human beings to behave. He believes that the art has the worst of the effect possible. It has good part as well. That is why he thinks that it should be a part of the curriculum, but at the same time he believes that art should not be, it should be, things or action should be taken so that कि उसका worst effect आपके students पे, बच्चों पे ना आए, ठीक है? हर illusion जो है वो आपकी reason को contradict करेगी. अगर आपकी reason strong है, अगर आपकी sense of logic strong है, तो फिर आपको ये illusions जो हैं ये impress नहीं करेंगी. इसीलिए कहते हैं ना कि जैसे जो बच्चे होते हैं उनके लिए आप कुछ खास किस्म का TV shows जो हैं वो allow करते हैं, बाकी नहीं करते, क्योंकि आपका ख्याल होता है कि वो कच्चा ज़हन है, ठीक है ना? Impressionable minds, as you call them. So an impressionable mind would be easily influenced by the things that he sees. He would consider them to be the truth. Why? Because the reason and the logic is not that strong. But when the reason and the logic is stronger, then they would try and resist it. Then the reason is going to tell them that this thing that they're saying is illusionary. It's not real. It's a virtual thing. Same can be said about the poetry, about the poets and the dramatists. They create language, they use language to create unstable tragic comic characters of men and women. People who appear on stage are not real. Real men and women rarely behave like that. I mean, कितने लोग होंगे जो बाजार में खड़े होकर मारपीट शुरू कर देते होंगे, ठीक है? कितने लोग होंगे जो दरख्तों के गिर्द घूम घूम के गाने गाते होंगे? When you see things like that, you expect this to be real, unless and until, of course, the thing that we have already discussed, कि आपकी logic strong हो या आपकी reason strong हो, ठीक है? People who are driven by their emotions and their desires are the people who let go of their reason. They're weak people. They're easily influenced. They are people who lack reason. It is true to some drama and poetry, however, that some drama and poetry in Plato's view are good. They should be a part of the curriculum. लेकिन ज़्यादातर drama और poetry जो है ना, it is irrational and it evokes irrationality. People tend to behave in exaggerated manner, and Plato does not want it from human beings. He wants human beings to be rational beings. You get my point? What I'm trying to say here is that the same can be said about the poets and the dramatists. Why? Because all the poets and the dramatists, they create actors and they create characters, for that matter, sorry. They create characters who are acting exaggerated, who are not what real human beings would do in a particular situation. Okay? If your father dies, you can't go on around like Hamlet and, you know, talking to yourself, muttering soliloquies, to be or not to be, that is the question. You won't do it like Macbeth, you won't do it like Lady Macbeth, out, damned spot, out, I say. You won't continue like that, okay? And the comic characters, they're so hilarious, they're so ridiculous sometimes that real human beings, they do not behave like that. So we have to believe that these forms of art, they create a certain illusion about ourselves, about the life around us, and we believe it to be true. This is not true. This is not how life is all about. So Plato believes that we should avoid this form of art only and only to save ourselves from the illusionary nature of things, so that we do not let go of reason. Because when you let go of reason, you're driven by emotions and your desires, and of course you're doomed. Your soul is doomed, because the soul would reach the eternal life only and only when you get hold of the reason. The reason is going to guide it and is going to save it from all kinds of temptations. He believes that men in these dramatic presentations, जैसे हमने पहले होमर की बात की है, they are like women, or they act like women or buffoons. Why would he say that? It's because, you know, men generally don't cry. We don't expect them to cry. We don't expect them to let themselves go. We do not expect them to give in to weakness. But the characters on stage, they are very emotional beings, and they give in to their weaknesses. They cry, they laugh, and they act about, you know, sing and dance. Men are not supposed to do that as far as Plato goes. What you think and what I think is a different matter. We're considering Plato right now, and Plato does not believe that. He believes that men should act like composed, rational beings. They should keep the bigger question in picture every time they're doing something. So whatever they're doing on stage is not according to the status that has been given to man as a being of reason. We are deluded to sympathize with whatever is happening on the stage. ठीक है? कितना कॉमन है, यू वॉचिंग अ मूवी, सारी दुनिया साथ बैठ के रो रही है. क्यों रो रहे हो भाई? क्योंकि जी वो जो मूवी में हीरो था उसको कैंसर हो गया और वो मर रहा है, ठीक है? या जो हीरोइन थी वो ट्रेन के नीचे आके मर गई है, या किसी का बच्चा मर गया, या किसी की माँ मर गई, किसी का बाप मर गया, या किसी के साथ कोई ट्रेजेडी हो गई है, गाड़ी चोरी होगी वगैरह वगैरह, ठीक है? इस तरह की बातें, व्हेन यू सी इट ऑन टीवी यू क्राई विद इट, ठीक है? व्हेन यू सी इट इन मूवीज यू क्राई विद इट. He believes it to be extremely irrational. Why would you force people to believe in something and then make them act, make them react to that thing? So he believes it, he does not sympathize with it. He believes it to be completely irrational. इस सारी debate का क्या मतलब था? Does he hate poetry? Does he hate all these things? He does not. He believes that there should be a strict censorship on everything that is done as far as the arts goes. He says that many societies, अब जब Socrates ने ये Plato ने ये theories दे दी ना कि art के ऊपर censorship होनी चाहिए, तो चूँकि they are big names in philosophy, they are the beginners, they are the pioneers, तो उनकी जब इस theory के ऊपर people they started to follow it. There were many societies in the West which were formed and which said that there should be a strict censorship on art, ठीक है? because either they give wrong message and they influence younger minds, or they make people morally corrupt. They don't serve a good purpose. ठीक है, तो इन्होंने क्या कहा, जो हमने लिटरेरी थेरीज में भी पढ़ा था कि जो मॉरल क्रिटिकल अप्रोच होती है, ये किसी भी पीस ऑफ वर्क को इस चीज़ पे एनालाइज करती है कि ये क्या सिखा रहा है लोगों को. तो प्लेटो वाज अ बिग, was big in its favor. Plato is one of the pioneers of that theory, and he believes that whatever has been shown to the people in the form of arts, whether it's a play, it's a painting, whether it's a piece of poetry, whether it's a novel, whatever, it should have a moral effect. It should be censored so that it does not give out the wrong meaning to the people reading it, watching it, listening to it, और एक्टिंग इट आउट. ठीक है, तो जितने लोगों ने प्लेटो को फॉलो किया, उन्होंने ऐसी सोसाइटीज़ बनाई जो ये कोशिश करती थी कि हर पीस ऑफ आर्ट पे ख़ास किस्म का सेंसर लगे, उसके ऊपर कोई चेक और बैलेंस हो, ताकि वो चीज़ें प्रोड्यूस ना हो जिनसे बच्चों को या बड़ों को या नौजवान नस्ल को कोई गलत मैसेज मिले, बिकॉज समटाइम्स आर्ट कैन रीड टू मॉरल करप्शन. ठीक है, अब इस थेरी पे जो क्रिटिसिज्म आया है प्लेटो की, वो ये था कि आर्ट इज नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिव, राइट, आर्ट इज अमोरल, आर्ट इज अपोलिटिकल. इट मीन्स कि इसके कोई पॉलिटिकल बैकग्राउंड नहीं हो सकती. आप किसी आर्ट को इसलिए पसंद नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज इट हैज बीन समथिंग हैज बीन पेंटेड इन रशिया, सो यू आर सपोज टू डिसलाइक इट बिकॉज यू डू नॉट लाइक रशिया. समथिंग दैट इज बीन मेड इन इंडिया इज नॉट गुड बिकॉज द आर्टिस्ट वाज इन इंडियन, सो वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू लाइक हिम. So it's going to be amoral as well. It has no morality. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not supposed to teach you anything. It's the artiness of the art, as far as Plato goes. It's the artiness of the art that you have to assess it on. It's the creative aspect of it that you should focus on. So people who criticize Plato, they say these things. They say that there is no need. You can't do it like that. Okay? So they believe that art is for the sake of art. The theories that we later on come was like art should be for the sake of communication, it should be for the sake of aesthetic response. Anything that elicits in you an aesthetic response is an art, is a piece of art. So these are different theories which come after it. लेकिन प्लेटो की theory पे सबसे बड़ा एतराज़ जो लोगों को है वो यही है कि you can't judge, you can't categorize things on the basis of morality. प्लेटो की theory पे जो दूसरा है ना, वो ये है कि Plato was not trying to say कि these things should be completely ख़त्म कर देनी चाहिए. Plato is not saying that you should strip the nation of the complete form of entertainment. He's not saying that kuch bhi nahi hona chahiye, na singing, na dancing, na gana, na bajana. He's not saying that. What he's saying is that there should be a censorship in it. He's not saying that ये सब लोग जो हैं ये फजूल हैं, बल्कि वो ये कह रहा है कि what we believe as well and what was believed in his day as well, that poets are not great moral teachers. They are not people who can teach you ethics. Okay? They should not be taken as such. They should be taken as entertainers who should be checked upon. That's all. That's the end of his theory here. That he says, ki, theek hai, let them sing and dance, let them play plays, let them act out plays on stage, but there should be a censorship on them. And they should not be given the status of intellectuals. हमारे ज़माने में भी होता है, प्लेटो के ज़माने में भी होता है कि शायर को एक बहुत बड़ा इंटेलेक्चुअल बना दिया जाता है. We consider Faz an intellectual. We consider Ahmed Faraz an intellectual. People who we expect to give us philosophies, who we expect to tell us what life is all about, who we expect to tell what knowledge is, what life is, what truth is, what beauty is, what love is, what is the nature of our life, what is the nature of our soul. We expect these things from the poets, don't we, even in the present day. So the same goes for Plato as well. In his time as well, poets would be considered to be, great teachers. Plato is basically criticizing that aspect. He says that they are not to be trusted with the education of the generations of a particular city, of an ideal city. If you want to raise ideal citizens for an ideal city, poets should be kept to one side and should be severely censored, whatever. It's not only poets, but poets generally stand for all the forms of arts. He makes fun of theatre goers. He makes fun of all the men who put the makeup on their faces, put wigs, put costumes on, and then they go on the stage and they act out stage. He is extremely, ridiculing of them. He says that Achilles and he's portraying Agamemnon, who's the conqueror of Troy. He says कि Agamemnon का portrayal ऐसा है ऐसे बंदे का जो अपने शायद पाँव की उंगलियां भी पूरी नहीं गिन सकता, and he is considered to be the hero of Troy. The portrayal उसका क्या है, वो पता नहीं खुद कैसा था, but the portrayal that has been given of him by this poet Achilles in his poetry. And of course Homer was big name at that time. People used to quote Homer like they quote Bible or they quote Quran sometimes. He was that big. I mean कि जो बात कोई करता था उसकी बात के अंदर होमर का एक शेर होता था, ठीक है, जैसे हम करते हैं कि फैज के जिसको 4 शेर याद है, जिसको इकबाल के याद है, we consider that person to be, and we try to support our arguments when we want to convince someone of something. तो हम एक अच्छे शायर का जिसको हमको बड़ा इंटेलेक्चुअल समझते हैं, हम उसके 2-4 शेर साथ लगा देते हैं. We consider कि हमने बड़ी बात बता दी है, ठीक है, यानी हमने अपनी आर्ग्यूमेंट को सपोर्ट करने के लिए बड़ा भारी लॉजिक दिया है. So same thing happened at Rome at that time. कि किसी ने भी किसी चीज़ के लिए कन्विंस करना होता था तो वो होमर की एग्जाम्पल देता था, होमर की शेर पढ़ता था, होमर की इलियड में से कोई बड़ी सी चीज़ कोट करता था. But Socrates was not very much fond of him. When we say Socrates, we mean Plato. I have been, focusing on this point. Okay, when I keep on saying Socrates, it is because Socrates was the main character of Republic. Republic was written by Plato, but Socrates was the main character of Republic. Okay? So he also makes fun of Homer, and he says कि इतना बड़ा ये चीज़ होती है. If he was that big a warmonger, if he was that good in war craft, उसको इतनी जंगी चालें आती, तो why didn't he become a general in the state where he lived? Why is he just a poet? He is not that big a deal. अगर वो if he was so good, he would have given a theorem like a Pythagoras. He would given a philosophy. He has done nothing except writing poetry. So why be fond of him? Why consider him to be a great teacher? अच्छा जी, ये theory of imitation of art, I hope you understand that art as far as Socrates or Plato goes is an imitation. It's a copy of the copy. And why is it dangerous then? ठीक है, copy हो गई, एक bed था, उसकी तस्वीर बना ली, जो bed था उसकी copy जो थी वो eternal form में exist करे. There is an eternal bed as well somewhere, ठीक है, और उसकी copy जो है वो आपने इस life में बना ली. So big deal. Why is it wrong? Is it wrong? Or is it not wrong? Plato के ख्याल में ये गलत है. Why? Because imitation जो है, it's giving you a fake illusion. It's giving you a fake image, and it is making you focus on the fake thing, on the physical thing, whereas you should be searching for something that exists in the eternal form. आपको eternal form को search करना चाहिए. Your reason should guide you to go for something that is eternal. You should not focus on the physical form. And this is what poetry and drama and painting and all these forms of art are doing, that they are making you focus on the physical form, on the copy, of the copy. They're not letting you focus on the real thing. Example इसमें इसने allegory दी थी cave की, where the person who's tied in a cave is going to consider the shadows of the stick puppets to be the real world. But when he searches for the real world, he finds it, and he finds out कि जो वो देख रहा था वो सही नहीं था. So what is the criticism on this theory? The criticism on this theory is कि he's not saying that there should be no poetry, but he's saying that there should be a strict censorship. Why? Because they're trying to raise citizens of an ideal republic. The citizens should be ideal for that matter. So this poetry and the drama and the art forms, they make you act unreasonably, because they have created images and they have created characters which are driven by passion and are driven by emotion, and these things are not good for the soul of a reasonable being. So if you have to follow the reason, which is important, because when you follow reason you're going to get your soul the eternity it deserves. So if you want eternal soul, if you want the immortality of your soul, you're supposed to follow reason, and reason cannot be followed if you are driven by passion and emotion, which will be done if you follow the fake images portrayed by the poets, by the artists, by the dramatists. So this is the biggest objection that he has on poetry and art, that it is the copy of a copy, it's an imitation thrice removed, and it's going to make you do things which are not reasonable, and is going to be an hindrance in your being, in your search for the eternity, for the search of the eternal life, for the search of the real form of the things. ठीक है? उसने फिर यहाँ पे बात आ जाती है immortality की. Why is immortality important? Why do you need this immortality? he believes, Socrates अपने जो वहाँ पे लोग बैठे हुए थे ना, उनसे कहते हैं कि जो, क्योंकि बात तो सारी रिपब्लिक में जस्टिस की हो रही थी, सो ही सेज कि why do you need justice? How do you think if you have gone through your life with justice, how would you be rewarded? So he says you won't be rewarded in this life. You would be rewarded in eternal life. Your immortal soul would be rewarded. Now here comes a question, because you don't know whether the soul is immortal or not. So the person who Socrates is arguing with, he says, do you believe in immortality of soul? And Socrates answer, of course I believe in immortality of the soul, and you are going to believe in immortality of the soul as soon as I am finished giving the proof that I have. So Socrates have a proof for the immortality of the soul. What is his proof? Let's see. He says there are all sorts of illnesses that our body falls sick through. Like आपको नज़ला ज़ुकाम होता है, कैंसर भी हो जाता है, शुगर, ब्लड प्रेशर, हर किस्म की बीमारी है, ठीक है? And these things, these diseases, they affect your body. Similarly, everything has a peculiar evil that brings about the downfall of the certain thing. For example, wood, it rots, ठीक है? लकड़ी जो है ना भुरभुरी होके खत्म हो जाते हैं. Iron को rust, जंग लग जाता है, ठीक है? Similarly, your body, your eye, for example, has this disease, जिसमें ophthalmology, in which the eyeball, it decays, ठीक है? या कैटरैक्ट्स हो जाते हैं कि आपकी आंखों के आगे मोती आ जाता है. आप हर organ का, हर चीज का एक खास evil है, ठीक है? खास चीज है which is going to cause its decay. The peculiar evil for soul is injustice. That's what Socrates is saying. Okay, your injustice, if your soul is practicing that, if your body is practicing it, of course your soul is practicing it, that is going to be the peculiar evil for the soul. It's going to make the soul decay. But does it? No, it doesn't. चाहे आप just हैं, चाहे आप unjust हैं, your soul is not destroyed by injustice. So if the peculiar evil is not able to destroy the soul, if the soul remains intact, because when someone dies, soul अलग होता है तो ही वो फौत होता है ना, तो the soul remains intact, it means if a person was a tyrant, वो भी जब मरता है उसका soul अलग हो जाता है, it means कि soul is existing there. And if a person is just throughout his life, if he dies or when he dies, उसका भी soul अलग हो जाता है. तो it means कि soul does not die because of justice or injustice. So what happens? Soul cannot be destroyed. It is immortal. It stays. उसका peculiar evil भी अगर उसको ख़त्म नहीं कर सका, उसका particular evil, particular चीज़ जो उसकी downfall cause करती है, अगर वो भी उसको ख़त्म नहीं कर सकती, it means कि it is immortal. It's forever. It's going to stay there, whatever might happen. So ये जो इसका argument है ना, this is known as if-then argument. If-then argument होता है जिसको आप antithemes कहते हैं in Latin language. Antithemes in Greek language, sorry. ये है कि if A is equal to B, then B is equal to C, and if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is of course equal to C. ठीक है? ये argument logically develop हो रहा है. If this, then of course this is the outcome. If A is equal to B, B is equal to C, and then A is of course equal to C. This is the way he logically arrives it, and the argument which is arrived at, which is reached in this way, is known as Socrates. ठीक है? He says कि अगर कोई चीज़ peculiar evil से destroy नहीं हुई, ठीक है, हो जानी चाहिए. पहले केस में A जो है वो B के इक्वल है, कि अगर एक peculiar evil है, एक चीज़ है, उन दोनों को एक दूसरे से मिलाएं तो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएंगे. अगर वो नहीं डिस्ट्रॉय हुई, इसका मतलब है कि वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो ही नहीं सकती और वो जो है इमॉर्टल है. अच्छा, अब इसका इशू ये है कि यू कांट बिलीव इट टू बी ट्रू. There is a difference between proof and belief. So what Socrates is doing here is that he's believing that the soul is there. Okay, I believe the soul is there. The person who he's talking to believes that the soul is there, and he believes that it's immortal. But you cannot prove it. Socrates even can't prove it. He has given no proof whatsoever. Injustice, if he says that injustice is a peculiar evil, are we supposed to believe it, and are we supposed to say कि हाँ उसने कह दिया कि चूंकि peculiar evil जो आपके soul को destroy करना है जिसने, वो injustice है, और अगर उसने destroy नहीं किया soul को, तो इसका मतलब है कि आपका soul immortal है. Is that all? Is that enough to prove that this is the true thing? No, it's not.
It is a matter of belief. Okay, you believe that it is immortal. Okay, I believe that it's immortal. Okay, this person he's talking to believes it's immortal. It does not prove that it's immortal. It's just a belief, right? अच्छा, अब ये क्या, इससे क्या conclusion निकलेगी? Immortality of soul. उसने चलो फर्ज करें हमने मान लिया. He says that the soul is immortal. Now, what is he trying to prove here? What he is trying to prove here is that if the soul is immortal, then what should be done? A just life should be lived. आपकी जिंदगी इंसाफ के असूलों के तहत गुजरनी चाहिए. अब इंसाफ क्या है? It's honesty, it's truth, it's everything that good that you know. Justice is not justice. ये जो हमारा justice का concept है कि सर काटा किसी ने तो आप भी उसका सर काटें, उंगली काटी तो आप उसकी उंगली काट दें. No, that not that kind of justice. It's that kind of justice which comprises everything good. So in order to achieve the immortality of a soul, in order to get something good when the soul reaches the immortal stage, जब वो इस physical दुनिया से निकल जाएगा, तो तब जो उसकी जिंदगी होनी चाहिए अच्छी कैसे होगी? क्योंकि अगर आपने जिंदगी दुनिया में अच्छी गुजारी होगी, जस्ट गुजारी होगी, तो तभी आपके सोल को आगे जाके लाइफ हेयर आफ्टर में अच्छी जिंदगी मिलेगी. ठीक है? इफ यू आर जस्ट यू विल बी इक्वली रिवॉर्डेड, इफ यू अनजस्ट यू विल बी वेल डिजर्विंगली पनिश्ड इन द वर्ल्ड हेयर आफ्टर. अब इसको उसने कैसे प्रूव किया जी? मिथ ऑफ आर से. अब मिथ ऑफ आर क्या है कि इन द मिथ ऑफ आर ही हैज टू प्रूव कि it's a story about a soldier who dies in a battle, ठीक है? And when he dies in the battle, they take him home, they put on the funeral pyre, जहाँ पे उसको दफनाने के लिए लिटाया उन्होंने, जो भी चारपाई टाइप चीज़ थी उस पे, and he becomes alive, ठीक है? Suddenly, he was dead in a battle, he comes alive, and he tells you his story. And what is his story? He said that when I died, my soul was taken to a place. In that place, there were 4 chasms, 2 in the earth and 2 in the heavens. And between the chasms on the earth and in the heaven, there were 2 judges sitting. He was told to sit in front of those judges. There were souls coming in front of the judges, and the judges were handing out the punishment. The souls of unjust people, they were told to go into the chasm in the earth, and the souls of just people were told to go into the chasm on the right in the heaven. So unjust के नीचे earth में जा रहे थे, और just के जो थे वो ऊपर heaven में जा रहे थे. And on the left side there were people coming out of the chasm in the heaven and from the chasm in the earth. ठीक है? नीचे वाले से भी आ रहे थे लोग बाहर और ऊपर वाले से भी आ रहे थे left side पे. जो heaven से आ रहे थे, they were looking really rested and clean and happy. And the people who were coming out of the chasm from the left in the earth, they were looking very travel worn, very tired, fatigued, unhappy, and sick for that matter. So what happens? He sat there and he talked to the souls. The souls who were coming from the chasm in the earth, they told him that they were the unjust souls and they have been punished for the unjust ways they have carried on in life. And they also told him that there were certain people still suffering for what they have done in their life, and they're going to remain under the earth for a longer period of time. Those who were unjust, they were punished for let's say 1,000 years. They were supposed to wander under the earth for 1,000 years. And those who were coming from the heaven, the chasm in the heaven on the left, they were the souls who have been just in their life. They have been, they have been rewarded, and then they have to move on. And where did they move on? And these souls who were punished and the souls who have been rewarded, they moved to a place where there were 3 fates. The fates told them to choose a life they would carry on in the next life. The theory of reincarnation, that they have been given another form of life, they were allowed to choose. Now, some of them, they chose tyranny. One of them, he chose to be a lion. Another chose to be a swan. One of them chose to be an eagle, Odysseus. He chose to be an eagle. And one of them chose to be a common citizen. Now, when they have all decided what they wanted in the life to come, they were told to drink from the stream. So they drank from the stream, there was an earthquake, and he was awake, lying on the funeral pyre. So this is the story. What he's trying to prove here, Socrates' ki story say, कि everyone who has been unjust in his life is going to be punished, and everyone who was just in his life is going to be rewarded. And
The second point he's trying to prove here is that whatever happens to a person is his own choice. A bad person chooses to be bad. Like the example of the person whom fate gave the right to choose for himself what life he wants in the next life, and he chose to be a tyrant. Even when he knew that being a tyrant is going to curse him forever and ever, he's going to be miserable for the rest of his life, because even when he dies, he's going to come back and he'll be cursed to the life under the earth in the chasm of hell. But he chose it. So the bad person chose to be bad, and the good person, he always chooses to be good. It is your choice. You are never predestined to do something. आपको अल्लाह मियाँ ने लिखा हुआ नहीं भेजा कि ये बुरा ही बनेगा, ये अच्छा ही बनेगा. आपने खुद चूज किया होता है कि आप अच्छे बनेंगे या बुरे बनेंगे. This is what Plato is saying, of course. And what happens? He says कि why would a person choose to curse himself to a bad life? Why? Because, you know, because his soul was not enlightened enough, because he has led a life that was unreflected, because he was not letting his reason to rule his mind, because he was being disillusioned, he was being illusioned by things that he thought were true. So as a result of this, Socrates has to believe that there is things which is known as incarnation, reincarnation, and he had to give in to the fact that there is a thing known as three fates, and of course he had to believe the thing that you're not predestined to be bad and you're not predestined to be good. It is your own choice. So the theory of proves that the soul is immortal. The life, whatever you lead in this world, is going to be punished or rewarded in the eternal life, and as a result of that eternal life, you are again allowed to choose the life that you're going to have in the next turn. And it is your choice to be good or to be bad. Okay. So this is almost about all, except for the fact that there is another part of this theory that Plato has given. It's known as the theory of inspiration. He believes that there was this person, Ion, and he used to quote Homer all the time. He was so good in quoting Homer. He used to, you know, quote from Iliad. He used to keep on reciting Homer all the time. Everyone would ask him, please tell us this or read this for us, and he would do it. But as far as some other poets were concerned, he could not recite anything from them. He was not very good at reciting other poets, performing other poets. So Socrates asked him, what is the reason for this? And he had no answer. Socrates reached the conclusion that he has no real talent. It is just the gods that inspire him at that present moment when he is trying to recite Homer. So this person, this theory is very famous even nowadays, because most of the artists, they claim that we are inspired. It was the inspiration. We also believe in the muses and all these things. So theory of inspiration is sometimes gods, not the God we believe in, gods, they do inspire artists, and they do things that they do. It's not something that they do of the talent that they have. So this is almost about all that we have about Plato's theory of art, how he hates it or how he loves it. So we come to the conclusion that Plato believes that art is an imitation. Why? Because it's a copy of the real form. The theory of form is very important here because we have to focus on it. The theory of form says that everything that exists is a copy of something that exists in the eternal form. Okay? There's an eternal beauty, and all the things that are beautiful are an image of that beauty which exists in the eternal form, the real form, right? Then we have to keep in mind that everything that exists created by the artist is a copy, and because it's a copy, it's going to be harmful for the readers, for the writers, or for the people who are watching it, especially the visual and the dramatic arts. Why? Because the visual and the dramatic arts, they're going to make you think about things in the way which is not real. Because, you know, the artists and the playwrights, they create a world for you. They create an image for you. The image is a copy of an image, something that they know in this world, and then they create it for you on the stage. They're going to portray characters which are not real, portray characters which are not strong, portray characters which are not driven by reason. And when you see those characters, when you read about those characters, you act like beings of passion. You act driven by emotion and by passion, by desire, which is not what Plato expects from the real citizens or the ideal citizens of an ideal state. So he believes that art is harmful because it makes you act in a way which is not suitable for a reasonable being. Fine. So he says that the example of an artist, example of human beings who believe in these art form is that of a person who's been tied in a cave in complete darkness, and all he can see is the shadow on the walls. Shadows are the real thing for him, as long as he does not go to the other side of the wall and see what actually there is are a number of actors with puppets on sticks, and then he starts his journey towards the truth. So he says that it is important to realize that reality is not what is around us. Reality is not what these artists are trying to portray for us, but this is mere imitation. अब इस थ्योरी पे जो एतराज़ है लोगों को वो ये है कि why shouldn't it be in imitation? Everything around us, every painting that we've ever seen is appreciated because it's such lifelike, it's so good to see, it's बिल्कुल असली पहाड़ लग रहा था. You appreciate it only when you see it, it's in a good imitation. ठीक है? When you paint a portrait and you see a portrait of a person, you say, oh, it's so good, it's such a good imitation. You appreciate that, but it becomes harmful when it forces you to do things which according to Plato is not reasonable. जब आप उन artists के साथ affiliation draw कर लेंगे, जब when you're going to cry when they cry and you're going to laugh when they laugh, when they act like buffoons and you enjoy it, then and then only, according to Plato, art becomes harmful. Why would it becomes harmful? Because it's going to stop you right there. आप उसके addict हो जाएंगे, and you're not going to try and search for the reality, for the truth. ठीक है? Truth वो है जो आपके soul के लिए important है, because your soul is immortal. Now the problem arises, why and how you're going to prove that the soul is immortal? And Socrates has a proof. He says that everything has a peculiar evil. Everything that exists is destroyed by something. ठीक है? हर चीज़, आपकी body कितनी illnesses का victim होती है, and these illnesses, it destroys your body. The wood that is in the trees or in the furniture, it's destroyed by rot. भुरभुरी होके खत्म हो जाती है. Iron is, destroyed by rust. So the soul, of course, is to be destroyed by something, and Socrates and Plato, they believe that it is destroyed by injustice. So when the soul of an unjust person is not destroyed by the injustices he has committed throughout his life, and the soul of the person who has committed justice throughout his life is also not destroyed, then he reaches the conclusion that the soul cannot be destroyed. If that particular evil that is there to destroy the particular thing, if it's not doing that, it means the thing cannot be destroyed. So soul which is not destroyed by injustice is not to be destroyed at all. It means that it is immortal. Why is it important to ascertain the fact that the soul is immortal? Because if the soul is immortal, it means that it's going to stay forever. And if something is going to stay forever, you have to take care that the thing is to be taken care of. ठीक है? Soul की nourishment की importance है, फिर इसका मतलब है उसको सही रखने की, chaste रखने की, righteous रखने की ज़रूरत है. उसको सही रखना पड़ेगा ताकि immortality में it doesn't suffer. ठीक है? If you believe that you're going to live forever and ever and ever, you'll have to take care of your body, because otherwise it would decay. So if the soul has to live forever and ever and ever, you'll have to take care of your soul so that it does not decay, so that it does not suffer. So for that purpose, he believes that people should believe that there is a reward for whatever you do in this life. And for this purpose, he narrates this myth of and the myth of is narrated so that people know that if you are just in this life, you'll be rewarded. That if you're unjust in this life, you'll be duly punished. The theory of or the myth of is about a soldier who died in the battle, and he woke up when he was to be buried, and he told his story. What was his story was that there are people, there's a place when you die, you go to. And there are people who are being punished, and there are people who have received their punishment and they're coming out. The people who are being rewarded and they're coming out from the heaven as well to go on to the next life. He goes with those people, and the 3 fates, they told them to choose the next life they want to choose. And these people, some of them chose to be animals, some of them chose to be birds, some of them chose to be common citizens, and some of them chose to be a tyrant. When they have all decided on their new life, of course, doesn't, because they told him that he was to go back and tell the living men of his story. So when these people, they have already chosen what they wanted to choose to be in the next life, they had to drink from the river of forgetfulness. Was not supposed to drink that, because he was supposed to remember whatever he saw, and he was supposed to narrate it to the people living with him. I mean, लोगों को अपनी कहानी उसने सुनानी थी. So as soon as they drank from the river, there was an earthquake, and after the earthquake, he saw himself lying down on a charpai or whatever, and he was to be buried. So this was his story. This story Plato narrates, or Socrates narrates, in order to prove that there is a reward for everything, and he also narrates it to prove that goodness and badness or sensuousness is being chosen by the man himself. He is not predestined to be bad. He chose it himself. The person who wanted to be a tyrant, he knew that he will, because he has been out of the chasm. He saw कि लोग कितने कितने साल वहीं पे रहेंगे, हजारों साल, or for eternity a tyrant would stay there, because he's reserved the right of common man, because he has been unjust. He'll stay under the chasm, in the chasm under the earth. He's going to be cursed for eternity. Even then he chose that life. Why? Because his soul was not taught. He led an unrecognized life, unreflected life. So that is why Plato focuses on the fact that life should be led by thinking about it, should be led by following reason. And that is why art is unimportant, because it is going to illusion you into believing things that are not real. So जब आप reality पे believe नहीं करेंगे, तो आप reason पे believe नहीं करेंगे, आप reason को search करने की कोशिश नहीं करेंगे, आप truth को search करने की कोशिश नहीं करेंगे. And when you do all that, you are not going to give your soul the chance it deserves. So this is Plato's theory of art, or Republic, in the book of Republic, the theory of imitation. And we have discussed the theory of immortality of soul, and we have discussed the myth of एक चीज जो हमने और discuss की है वो theory of Ein, the theory of inspiration. In the short dialogue that was written by Plato, it was known as Ein. There was this person, he used to read Homer well, he used to recite Homer well, and he had no other talent. Socrates observed him, made him recite some other poets, but he saw that he was not able to recite any other poet else than Homer. So he decided that sometimes it's the gods that inspire the poets or the artists. It's not the talent that they have. So this is just a very small dialogue that he has towards the end of his philosophy. This is about all. The next time we meet, we're going to discuss Poetics by Aristotle. The first lecture is going to be about Aristotle's life, and the next lecture is going to be about whatever he says about different genres of art. Thank you.